Chat GPT thing yet?
I have tried it.
And thoughts?
So it's evolving, so
Yeah.
it's gonna get better. I didn't think it was that crazy, but it's gonna evolve, which is the scary part. Is that
Yeah.
it's constantly gonna like get better, and not just like a little bit at a time. It's gonna get better really fast.
See,
So that's a bit scary.
I thought it was crazy right off the hop.
Really?
I was like,
what,
this
what,
is
what
insane.
did you search? What did you look up?
Right away, I tried to like talk to it like a human.
Oh,
Like I was like, let me try to have a discussion, right? And it shuts it down right away. It's like, yo, I don't have feelings, stuff like that. Like it's like I'm a computer AI, blah blah blah. I do not have feelings. I can't respond to that sort of stuff.
interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Right? So right away, I'm talking to like an actual human being.
Yeah,
Right?
your brain works different for even like thinking to do that right off the hop.
100%. That was my first thing I wanted
Yeah.
to do, right? And then I got into like asking it questions about the world and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it always had sort of something to say, but it was almost like it was Googling. But then I tried the same thing that everybody's kind of using it for when it comes to like writing an essay or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I was like, for instance, for my YouTube channel, I was like, write me an email convincing this vendor to give me access to their event. Right? And
Okay.
it did it. Boom. Wrote this insane email.
and
right?
it was good.
It was way better than I could ever did. It was insane, right? Did it
Yeah.
in like 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But it was too long. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, write me the same thing in under 100 words. Boom. Right? Shortened it to
No.
100 words. It did it in 100 words. And it was
That's kinda
absolutely insane, like what it writes,
That's
right?
kind of wild.
So it was almost like the most insane assistant in a way.
Yeah.
Like it made workflow for even like a couple of videos on here, like especially when it comes to like a mental health. I
Yeah.
put a big description, right? Because whenever you do YouTube videos, you're supposed to put a description in.
Descriptions, yeah.
So I was like, write me something about mental health, or I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly what I put, but it wrote something.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, copy paste, and put it in there.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, this is dope, right? It's like an
Saves you time,
insane,
saves you
it was
time,
like an
yeah.
insane assistant, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's gonna evolve
Yeah.
like tremendously, bro.
All the technology we have right now, it's so crazy because all of it is making life easier and more convenient. But there's got to be a fine line where we're like, life shouldn't be that easy because it's everything has a point where it's like it's just too much.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into this like woke stuff,
Yeah.
some of that woke stuff that we want to talk about, but
Yeah.
even that, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything has a point where it's just like, maybe we've gone too far. Some
Yeah.
of the stuff that we have now, the technologies that we have now, and apps and stuff that's going on, we have no idea of like the repercussions that it's going to have
No.
in like 20 years.
No.
Like OnlyFans, we have no idea how that's going to impact us in 20 years. We have no idea how everything's just like delivered to your doorstep, and I feel like that's going to have an impact because people aren't going to meet each other. People meet at grocery stores. People like they go and they meet and they do stuff. Will it cause more obesity because people are not walking to the grocery store? Like we just don't know what the impact of some of this stuff,
No.
And it's a little scary to think about.
It's incredibly scary for me, especially me being a parent.
Yeah,
Like I got these kids to think about,
yeah,
and I'm just like, even now, like them watching YouTube Kids, like YouTube Kids is supposed to be like the safe place for them. And then you see these videos, and I don't know if they're real. I don't know if they're
people, like,
edited or
sneaking stuff on
yeah,
there, right?
and I don't know if they're manipulated or what, right? And technically, it's kind of like it's up to me as a parent too. I can't let YouTube Kids babysit my children.
yeah. of
I need
course.
to be present
parent,
and be around. Like, if they're watching YouTube Kids, I should at least be around and see what they're watching, right?
Yeah.
So that's like one aspect of it. Like I don't think we can like just let our kids watch YouTube Kids, unsupervised, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's supposed to be a safe place for them. And if there's some stuff on there that they really shouldn't be seeing,
We just don't know.
yeah, you don't.
On top, so you were just talking about that GP chat thing. So, where was I going with that? Oh, the GP chat. Have you seen the stuff where it says like show like the evolution of like fashion over the past like
No.
100 years, and they show like it creates like images, and I don't know if it's called GP chat, it's GP, I don't know,
Something
AI
else?
something,
Yeah, 'cause
and it
there's a bunch
creates
of them coming out.
animations
Yeah.
of like fashion over the past like 100 years or whatever.
Mm.
And I saw one, and it said, and it's not the first time I've heard this theory. It was like, show mankind evolution for the next like 200 years.
Mm.
And where it evolved to was we were just like, there's this movie, I can't remember the name of it, but basically we were just like this. Do you remember the Matrix at the end? And there's this like robot, but it's just like all like this like nano bites, and it like makes faces and it talks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's where like when GPAI did this did this like animation thing, that's where it saw people going. That's what they became. There's movies on it too, where it's just like, because it like the next thing is we're gonna become cyborgs. I feel like this might sound a little like conspiracy-ish.
No.
But I would see,
well,
like,
they're already talking about putting chips into our brain. So.
Chips into our brain and like bionic arms and stuff like that. So once you add like man-made like items to you, kind of, and like that have electric stuff, which is already happening, because we have like
we already have this, dog.
like not defibrillators. What's that thing that you put in your heart and it like it shocks your heart, kind of? I have a friend that has it, but like if your heart has like an irregular beat, then it kind of like shocks you to bring back.
Defibrillator, isn't it?
There's defibrillators, the one where you hook up, but there's one that like that your surgically is input into you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cyborgy ish, right? So like that just evolves. Next thing you know, like at what point? Again, this is going to what we were talking about. At what point do we say that's too far?
Yeah.
So now, if like you can have a prosthetic limb, can you? Let's say they add one that like is, you know, it's mechanically can move, and they attach it to your brain, like. Okay, do people say, that's okay? Okay, if that's okay, then could we do just like an entire lower half? Yeah, I mean, somebody lost their legs in the war, blah, 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 sad story. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what if we go like up to the neck?
Yeah.
And you only have like a head and a brain. Is that okay? Like, how far do we, at what point do we be like, this is too far?
Question is, are we too far already? Like, think about our phones. Like, I don't know about you, but it takes a lot to like get
away
this
from
out of my hand sometimes, and I'm so dependent on it. For instance, like I remember when I was like just started driving. So let's say when I was 17, 18. When I drove somewhere, I remembered exactly where I was going. I knew all the street names. I was like, I knew the
MapQuest.
city.
Do you remember MapQuest?
I had MapQuest in my head, bro.
Yeah.
Now, like, I reach to Waze or Google Maps every single time. I'm like, yo, where am I going? Every single time I got to turn it on and be like, yo, what street is that again?
You know how many times I just head in a direction because I know it's in that direction, and when I get close, I'm like, okay, I should probably Google it now. Like, I'm going downtown somewhere. I know kind of the general direction, so I'm just gonna drive that way
just to be sure.
Part way there, I do something illegal, and I pull out my phone, and I'm like, hey, can you find me XYZ?
So whether we like it or not,
we're
already cyborgs. This thing is already attached to us.
Wheels are set in motion for sure.
We're holding this on. It's not implanted in us, but like everything we need to know, okay, we can just Google it. But we're in the washrooms on this thing. Like it's
this
everywhere.
Is the thing. Like we're so set on like convenience that like that it would only make logical sense. Like it gets tiring. Like for me. It gets tiring to charge this.
Yes.
Like it the battery dies at times, sometimes, and you need it.
Yeah.
You know, there's just problems with it.
Yeah. 100%.
So if they could solve those problems, most people are going to be like, "Oh, this is going to make life easier. Sure, let's do it."
So like Elon comes along, he's like, "Yo,
Neuralink,"
and he's gonna put a chip in your brain. And you're like, "Are you in?"
I'm not doing that. I can't do it.
You're not in right away,
but
bro.
You know what?
You're not part of the beta testing.
I feel like things happen in a way that it has to seem like fluent. You know, like it can't be too ahead of its time, or else people will reject it.
You think there's like somebody already out there with it, and like obviously they can't talk about it? Like, do you think they're already performing those tests on humans? And like obviously they can't bring that out
I
to the
feel
public.
like this is very conspiracy.
No, not even.
conspiracy-like.
It's like just a
But you know
thought.
what? Maybe
You never
I,
know.
I don't put anything past our planet.
You just
People on
never
our
know.
planet. I don't
Yeah.
put anything past people on our planet.
Like
Probably,
if the tech
probably,
is there,
probably.
that's wild.
Don't they have somebody that has like a like recreated eye or something like that?
They reconstructed an eye.
An eye or some crap like that. I don't know. I could be wrong.
So like maybe they made a camera for an eye or something and hooked it up to the brain.
I don't know.
That's insane. That's
Right?
wild. That's absolutely wild.
That's like very cyborgy. It's
Well,
very cyborg like.
That's where we going, bro.
I think so, man.
That's where
I
we're going.
think so. I really truly believe that. It just that just seems like where evolution is going. Like why do we need everything to be so convenient and easy? Why are we wired that way? Like our brains literally are, the way they work is to just always make things easier. Even the way like we think, we recognize patterns and we store them so that next time when we see something that resembles that pattern, we're like, oh, I recognize this.
Mm-hmm.
And the brain just does stuff. Walking, like we don't have to think about that. It just like
just
happens. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but something that's like, I don't know, you know, you're in a relationship and you see your girl or partner do something to certain things and you're like, oh, like I've seen this before. She's cheating or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, something happens at work. You're like, oh, I've seen this before. I'm not going to go today or whatever. We're just wired to make things easy and recognize patterns. And why are we doing that? Are we just supposed to be a transition piece to something else?
Yeah. I'm starting to think now too with like the technology and like say we did become cyborgs and we had chips in us.
Yeah.
And things became, I guess, easier.
Mm-hmm.
Would we accept that or would we just try to do more? So nothing really becomes easier. We're just trying to do more with what we know. We can accomplish more because we don't have to spell check. We don't have to think about this because everything's just downloaded to our brains, right? Any Google search can be downloaded to our brain like that, and we're like a genius and everything in 10 seconds, right?
Well,
so are we going to try to do more? And then what happens? Our stress levels increase, and we know what happens when our stress levels increase, right? So are we going to end up shortening our lifespan when, you know?
Well, I think that depends on like how you look at it. If you look at it like, oh, like,